Hi there. So today I have a collective book haul. This is basically all of the books that I've bought in the last 2 months, excluding books for school. So I'm just going to start with the books going from oldest haul to most recent. And yeah, let's get started. So the first book I have is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, a novel in which the main character is this guy whose wife just one day basically disappears and there's no sign of her anymore. And it's kind of him trying to figure out what happened to her and where she went. So the second book I bought at the same time as Gone Girl is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. I don't know too much about this book, but I have heard amazing reviews about it, so I'm really excited to start reading it. Next is a single book that I got at a used bookstore trip. It is The Rescue Artist by Edward Dulles. And this book basically talks about this famous painting by Edvard Munch, The Scream, and its origins and where it's displayed, how many times it's been stolen. It is apparently like the most stolen painting ever, I believe, and how it gets stolen, why it gets stolen, just sort of interesting background on art heists and things like that. It's really interesting. I've actually started reading it a little bit. I do that a lot with books. I did that with Gone Girl as well, where I will start reading it basically as soon as I get it. And then either I'll keep reading it until I finish it, or I'll just put it down. And then it becomes sort of a currently reading / to be read book. Usually if it's been long enough since I originally got the book and started reading it, I will just start over with reading the book because I basically don't remember anything that I've already read from it, which is really a bad system and I don't recommend it at all, but I can't seem to stop doing it. I just get so excited when I get a new book that I immediately want to start reading it. Okay, and then the next group of books are books that I got from my local bookstore. And the first one is The Yard by Alex Grecian. And it's basically, the little back blurb thing says, 1889, London. Jack the Ripper's reign of terror is finally over, but a new one is just beginning. So it's basically just like a Victorian era historical fiction mystery novel, which is one of my favorite genres of any sort of book. So I'm really excited to read this one. As you can see, I've already started reading it again. I'm actually pretty far into this one. I'm about, 66 pages, not that far, but I got pretty committed to this one and then just stopped for some reason that I don't really remember. So this will probably be the next book that I end up picking up to read. Next is Letters to a Young Scientist by Eduardo Wilson. Basically, I picked up this book because in it, Eduardo Wilson talks about how to be good at science, you don't have to have like an amazing IQ or really good math skills. And it's more about just having the passion and the drive to try to solve an issue or find a solution. The next book that I picked up is Neal Stephenson's The Diamond Age. I don't know anything about this book. I only picked it up because I have another Neal Stephenson book here, which is Snow Crash, and this book is amazing. It is one of my favorite sci-fi books that I've ever read. So I was with my friend at the time, and they suggested that I pick this book up because it was also another excellent Neal Stephenson book, and I couldn't resist knowing how much I love Snow Crash. The next two books I picked up on a trip to Barnes & Noble. Actually, all the rest of the books I picked up at Barnes & Noble, but I made 2 separate trips because, I don't know, I'm crazy. I basically made them like the day after each other, and that was dangerous, and I do not recommend that at all unless you want to empty your bank account. So these 2 books are the first in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, I think it is, which is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. And this is the book I'm actually currently reading. I'm about halfway through it. And I picked it up because it was only $5 and it's in the bargain section, and it seemed really interesting. It's this young adult fantasy novel about this girl named Keiru, I think is how you say it. And she's basically an errand girl for these chimera creatures, and suddenly these angels come and they start a war between them, and It's pretty crazy. I am really enjoying it so far, and I can't wait to see what ends up happening. And then the other book that I bought while I was there is The Runaway King by Jennifer A. Nielsen. And this is the second in the Ascendants trilogy. It's basically a middle grade fantasy series, and I have the first book, The False Prince, which I bought and read last fall, and I really enjoyed it. It's about this orphan boy who gets adopted by this man because he looks kind of like the supposedly dead or missing prince, and this man wants to shape the orphan boy into looking like the prince and acting like the prince, basically so he can pass him off as the prince. Okay, and then the last 3 books are books that I found in the bargain section that just kind of looked cool or appealing in some way, so I figured I'd pick them up. The first one is Ninja the Shadow Warrior by Joel Levy, and it's basically just a history of ninjas and their training and the weapons they use. It looks really cool on the cover, and inside they have a bunch of awesome illustrations throughout all of it. So it looks like a really fun, quick read about the history of ninjas. And then the last 2 are kind of in the same vein, so I figured I'd just show them at once. The first one is Jack the Ripper, the Casebook by Richard Jones. And the second one is The Crime Archives, Inside the Minds of Today's Deadliest Criminals by Damon Wilson. So what these 2 are basically just stories about the crimes and about the criminals, and they have like interspersed throughout them little pockets that have replicas of different evidence, pieces of paper and tokens, things like that. It seemed really cool and interesting, and I am a big fan of interesting crime things, true crime and fictitious crime, but true crime especially I just find really fascinating. So that's why I picked up those 2. And with that, that is the end of my collective book haul for the past 2 months. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to subscribe for more reviews and hauls and things like that. Bye.